Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at XRP. This is going to be a higher time frame video. We will have a lower time frame video linked up above as well if that's more what you're interested in. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Effectively, what we have here is two ideas on the higher time frame that I'm looking for. Is that either this whole move is actually completed as an A wave here, in which case what we are looking for is the potential of a B wave to the downside, then following up with this C wave to the upside. Now, it is technically possible that we could be completed here and we could be looking to move up already from this point, in which case what we'd be saying is that the 1-to-1 would be up here towards this 132, and what we'd be looking at the 0.618 would be this $9 area. However, if this is an A wave here, I am still thinking that this B wave could still be playing out. So this is the one way we're looking at it just as a 3-wave move to the upside here. The alternative way we could argue that we have this is that we have this as 1, 2, 3, and what we are looking for as a 4th wave is this whole structure here. Now, it is very big, but in relation here, you know, and if we compare this to this wave 2, effectively we still haven't reached 3 times the wave 2 length, so this is possible. Now, it would be very likely that this would be some kind of either complex move here, or this would be a triangle. If this is the case, effectively what we'd be looking for would be the potential that we would be looking for a 5th wave to the upside. We would be looking towards this $12.90 to this $5.57 as a possible target area for this. So this would be looking at this as a 5-wave sequence, looking for some kind of a triangle complex move here in this 5th wave. Now, if we are looking at this idea here that we have this rather as an ABC, what we could argue is that we could still be seeing something like this playing out here. So either we have this move here where this is an A, a B, and then we're looking for this as C. In this case, it would probably be more likely that it is W, X, and Y, in which case we could still be looking for another move to the downside here. So we need to just be aware that that is a possibility. However, if we do actually look to push directly to the upside here, what we could still see, even if we do take this high over here, is that we could still see this play out where this is our A wave, we get this as a W and X, and then we get a bigger Y wave to the upside. Now, if this is going to be something like a flat correction here, a common zone that we look to reject off of would actually be this $2.02 to this $1.61. If we are looking at this rejecting off this 786 or 854, which would align with actually coming back and retesting this high. So this would be quite an interesting zone. Alternatively, if we do look at this move as a bigger flat correction here, where we're going to say that we get a bigger push to the upside, technically speaking, if we do take this high point here, what we could actually see is this $3.31 could potentially be this B wave high. So we still have to be careful of this idea if we're looking at a 3-wave structure here, that we could still see this high taken and then still look for that possibility of a C wave to the downside. Now, if we do look to push up higher here, we do also have this area up here, this $12 to the $7.34, which would still align with this idea of this as a bigger flat correction. So we need to just be careful of this idea. Now, depending on how high we came here, you know, this would change our target wave to the downside. If we came up to this B wave high here, effectively 1-to-1 would be here at this 7 cent 45. Alternatively, if we only came up to this area here, what we would be looking for would be this 5 cent 86. Now, if we did move up higher here, potentially what this would mean is we could see price come back down in 5 waves here, where we actually see this develop as a 5-wave sequence coming back down into some of these lower levels at a later point. So this is just something we need to be aware of with these structures to the upside. Sometimes it might not actually be a 5-wave move, so we need to just be open to that interpretation. Now, if we are talking about this actually being a 4th wave here, we could potentially argue that this is completed already into this low and that we could be starting this 5th, but it is too early in my opinion to say that this is definitely happening. We do have some alternatives here on this count that we could still be looking at a move to the downside. So we're going to go over those now. So one of the ways that I want to talk about this is that if we do actually complete into this high, either as a B wave or as a 4th, we could still see this possibility where we see this as a bigger WX and a Y here. Now, if this is the case, this is quite interesting because if we had to treat this as an A, a B, and we're looking for the C wave to the downside, what we would be looking for here is potentially 1432 would bring us right into the 786 off of our current level here. Obviously, the higher we go, the more this will change. We're going to go over these possibilities, like I said. Now, if we are looking at this as a WXY, what effectively we are looking for is a 3-wave move to the downside here. What I'd like to see as a minimum would be this 2450 if this is going to be W, X, and Y, because we want to see this this move come down at least towards this 0.618 level here. So this is what I'm saying. We just need to be careful and open to the idea that even though we've got good news with this, we just need to be open that, you know, there is still potential for downside. I'm more than happy to say that we're going into a bull run. I just need more evidence of this. Okay, so this is looking for this WXY. Now, if we are looking at this as a corrective structure, what we could still argue here is that this could be ABC to the downside, where our 1-to-1 would actually be here towards this 13558, and then our 0.618 would actually bring us back into these lows. So this would be quite interesting as an idea where we could still look for price to come back down into these lows. So going to be keeping an eye on this. Now, the key thing within this is that we have a 5-wave move here in this count, and what we are looking for is a 3-wave move to the upside. At the moment, this is exactly what we have. We only have 3 waves here. So I'm just being cautious. If we want to see this develop into an impulse, we need to see a bit more structure. We're going to go into that bullish count in a second here. Just want to go through these alternatives here. So if this is looking for that Y wave, potentially what we could see is something along this line where this is A, B, and C to the downside, looking to push us into this zone. Now, if we are looking at this in this way, I'm actually just going to come back in here onto the 12-hourly here. Now, what we need to be careful of within the structure to the upside is, like I said, we just have a 3-wave move to the upside. We have come up towards this 1,236. Now, if we do look to push up higher, we do have this 1,382 sitting here towards this $1.03 and this $1.20 as this 1,618 level to also be keeping an eye on. Now, there is potential, like I said, we could have a 5-wave move in here, and we will go over that. I'm just going over these alternatives until we actually get there. So the way that we could be saying that we're going to get a 5-wave move off these lows is we'd have to say that we are getting this as 1, 2, 1, 2 here, and effectively we'd be looking for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So we have actually now achieved 1,618 here, but the problem is I want to see more evidence that this is actually taking place, because what we need to see here, if we are looking at this as a 5-wave structure, effectively would be to see this 4th wave come into play. Now, if we are looking at this as a wave 2, what we would be saying is that we have this as a 1, this is a 2, and what we are looking for is this 3rd wave to complete. So we have come up towards this 2,618 already, and we have come down into this target box, but my problem here is time now. If this is going to be a 4th wave that's with this 2nd wave, so in the same degree, what I want to see is something that takes a bit more time to play out here. So either we form something like this, like a triangle, or something in this manner where we just actually range within this area for a little bit, looking to come into some kind of time relationship that is similar to this. Until we do that, there is always the potential this could be extending up higher here, and we could still have some waves in play, in which case this 3.618 could be a potentially interesting area up here towards this $1.29. So this would be looking for that possibility of a breakout, but what I would want to see here is this additional confirmation of a 4th and a 5th, and then from that point, what we would then have is the possibility that within this structure, this would then become our blue wave 3 here, and then we'd get additional 4ths and 5ths looking to push us up. This is what we want to see with this impulse. Now, there is another way of looking at this structure where we could say that potentially we have a diagonal in here, and this is effectively wave 1, 2. But what we have to say is that we'd have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 into this high. So this would be our A wave or wave 1 high, and then we'd be saying that this is our wave 2. So this is looking at this from this low. Now the problem is that we have within this count is that we just, once again, we have a 3-wave move. Now it is possible that this is still extending out, or this becomes our wave 1. We have this as a wave 2. The problem is this wave 2 would have been very short. So this is why I don't like this count in relation from this wave 1 time length to this wave 2 time length. It is technically possible. We'll have to keep an eye on it. But what I would want to see here is actually having a move up and past this zone here of this $1.19, and that would be looking for this 1,618. So what I'd want to see here is effectively this move to have a 5-wave structure here, and then we'd have to see a 4th and a 5th, and then we'd have some good structure here, because then potentially we could argue that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it'll be key what happens on the retracement. If we're going to get something like that, then effectively we'd be looking for a 3-wave move back to the downside, and then continuation up. Now that 3-wave move would have to maintain this low here, and then we'd have to see that confirmation in continuation of good structure. Now it is also possible that this could be 1, 2, and then we form something like this as a 1, come back down for a 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we get a bigger push to the upside. If that's the case, then we'll be looking out for some potential to come back into some of these lower levels. We'll go over this in the lower time frame count more than anything, but this is just looking at it this as a 3-wave move currently to the upside. So we need to just be aware there is potential here for this move to become an impulse to the upside, but at the moment it just isn't. It is just a 3-wave move still, so this is why I'm just being a little bit cautious. So the other way we can argue that this count actually took place is that we had this as a triangle here. So this was A, triangle B, and C. So if we're looking at this in the way, we're still within this typical rejection box. $1.30 to this 59 cent is our typical zone. We have come up here into this golden pocket between this 94.302 and this $1 area. So we have come up into this. What I want to see now is further evidence that we're going to see this continuation. We need to start to see either this move come down in 3 waves, hold support above this low here, and then look to push up in a bigger 5-wave move, something like this, or we need to see this move develop a 4th and a 5th, a 4th and a 5th, and a 4th and a 5th, and then we would have a good 5-wave structure to the upside. Until that point, I'm just being cautious that at the moment we still just have 3 waves up, and if this does look to fail, this could then align with the idea once again of coming back down into some of these lower levels here. So we need to just be careful of this. If we do see this price come down in this way, we could be looking for this 1-to-1 level as an interesting zone. It would be quite interesting because potentially we could even come into these lows, or if we do look to just push slightly past these 11 cents would be the zone we're looking at. So this is why I'm saying we need to just be a little bit patient with this, see the confirmation come in, because this could just be a 3-wave move to the upside and then we look to break down. Now it is also possible that this, even if this is a 3-wave move like this, could just be an A wave. We get a B wave to the downside and then we see something like this. Now if this is the case and we're looking at this as a completed move, then potentially what we could see is price come back down into some of these lower levels. I'm actually going to throw this 382 on here as well because it is an interesting zone, which would be coming back into these highs. So if we do see price start to form something like this, and then we see a move like this where this becomes A, B, and C, this would still align with the idea of this possibly being a corrective structure, because it could push us up into this higher zone, which would be looking for as a typical B wave. So even if we do get something like this, we still need to be careful that until we actually take this high of this $1.96, there is that possibility that we could still see price actually move to the downside. Now another way of looking at this move here, I'm actually going to come back out onto the weekly for this, is that we could also argue that we have a triangle. So the interesting thing about this is I had this drawn a long time ago and we've actually rejected off of this 0.618 quite nicely, to be fair. So if we do see this actually just develop as ABC here, what I would be looking out for is that if we do see another 3-wave move to the downside, this could actually align with the idea of this as a triangle pattern here, where this becomes our A, B, C, and then this would actually be our D wave, in which case we could see something like an E wave look to play out in this area. So if we do see this E wave off of our current high, the common zone for this would actually be this 49.97 to this 48.35 level, as well as that if I actually just come on here and throw this 786 on here as well, just as another area. Sometimes we can see a relationship to the 786, which would be quite interesting because we'd be coming back into some of these lows over here. So that would be also an interesting area. So the interesting thing is if this D wave does look to extend out slightly here though, what we could see is this 786, which is another target for these waves when we're getting a triangle, is between this 618 and the 786. So what I'm looking out for here is that if we do see price push up one more time here and we do hit this higher level here, still going to be looking out for that idea of this E wave. Now what this could mean is that this is all a 4th wave and we have this as a triangle, then we get that 5th wave. Alternatively, it could mean that this is all a B wave and then this would be A, B, and C, which would be far more bullish if it is just a 3-wave move to the upside. But if we do get that triangle and this 5th wave up, then that would imply that we're going to see a retest of some of these levels after we complete that 5th wave target to the upside. So this is going to be interesting here. I would also be open to the interpretation of this structure here, that if we did move down one more time, I still wouldn't rule out the idea that this could be an even bigger triangle, where effectively what we have here is this is still in a C wave, and then we see a D and an E at a later point, keeping this, just basically making this triangle extend out even further, which would mean that we're going to be range bound for a long period of time if that is the case. Yeah, just something worth keeping an eye on here, you know, really until we actually cross this B wave and validate this at this 195.71. We need to just be aware of this idea that we could still see some things like this actually look to play out here. So it's going to be interesting to see how things progress here. Looking at this entire area as a range here, you know, it would be interesting to see a move back down into some of these levels if we do see this as a D wave and then we get an E wave. I will be keeping an eye on this value area high, because this could potentially look to align with where that E wave comes into play. Alternatively, if we do see another move down here where this is A, B, and C, once again I'll be keeping an eye on this zone as a possible target area, because there is going to be a lot of trades that opened within this area. You know, there's going to be a lot of liquidity down here, and this is why we need to be careful that, you know, if this is just a corrective wave to the upside and we start to lose some of these zones, these positions either closing or liquidating could actually look to push this price down much lower here, and that would align with actually coming back down into this point of control, which is quite interesting here, because if we do throw that idea of that bigger ABC pattern, we can see that the 1-to-1 would be down here towards this 13 cent 55, and then we also do have this the 786 and this 854 here back towards this point of control. So it is going to be very interesting. We do have obviously quite a big block of volume within this area, so if we start to look into this area here, you know, anywhere within here could technically become a point of reversal after crossing this low point and hitting 0.618 zone. So it's going to be interesting times for sure. If we are looking at this idea of this extending out as a bigger impulse here, we just need a bit more evidence of this. You know, it is good news. I want to see the structure start to map out here for additional confirmation, but really we just need to be patient and see whether this actually manages to hold here, whether we get that fourth, that fifth, and then whether we get that continuation up. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.